In an unprecedented move, outgoing President Joe Biden issued a sweeping wave of pardons, encompassing key figures like Dr. Anthony Fauci, General Mark Milley, and members of the January 6th Investigative Committee. This extraordinary act of clemency sent shockwaves through the political landscape, raising questions about presidential power, potential abuse, and the future of accountability. The pardons, announced in the waning hours of Biden's presidency, immediately became a lightning rod for controversy, drawing sharp criticism from Republicans and sparking a debate about the limits of executive authority. The scope of Biden's actions was breathtaking. He extended pardons not only to high-profile individuals but also to rank-and-file Capitol Police officers and Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police officers who testified before the January 6th committee. This broad application of presidential pardon power, unprecedented in modern American history, signaled Biden's deep concern about the potential for political retribution under a returning Trump administration. This extraordinary move, coming just days before the inauguration of President Donald Trump, marked a dramatic end to Biden's presidency. It also cast a long shadow over the incoming administration and the future of American politics. Biden's motivations for issuing the pardons were clear. He sought to protect those who had served in his administration and supported his agenda from potential legal and political attacks under a second Trump presidency. Trump, who had repeatedly vowed to exact revenge on his political enemies, had publicly denounced Fauci and Milley, labeling them as disloyal and corrupt. In a statement released shortly after the pardons were announced, Biden defended his actions, stating, "These individuals have served our country with honor and integrity. They deserve our gratitude, not the threat of prosecution for political purposes." This act of preemptive clemency, however, raised serious concerns about the potential for abuse of presidential power and the erosion of accountability. Critics argued that Biden's pardons set a dangerous precedent, allowing presidents to shield themselves and their allies from the consequences of their actions. The pardons were seen by many as an admission of guilt by association, further fueling the partisan divide that has come to define American politics. The reactions to Biden's pardons were swift and divided along partisan lines. Democrats largely defended the move, arguing that it was necessary to protect individuals from politically motivated prosecutions. Republicans, on the other hand, were outraged, accusing Biden of abusing his power and obstructing justice. Trump himself was quick to denounce the pardons, calling them a disgrace and vowing to reverse them if possible. In a statement posted on his social media platform, Truth Social, Trump wrote, "Biden is a weak and pathetic president who is trying to protect his corrupt cronies. He will not get away with it." Fauci, who had become a target of death threats and harassment due to his role in the COVID-19 pandemic response, expressed relief at being pardoned, stating that he could now sleep soundly at night. Milley, who had been criticized for his handling of the Afghanistan withdrawal and his conversations with Chinese officials, also welcomed the pardon, saying that it allowed him to move on with my life. Section 4, Uncharted Territory, the Precedent of Preemptive Pardons. Biden's pardons were unprecedented in their scope and their preemptive nature. Never before had a president issued pardons to individuals who had not been charged with a crime, let alone convicted. This unprecedented use of presidential power raised serious legal and ethical questions, with some scholars arguing that it exceeded the bounds of the Constitution. The Constitution grants the president the power to grant pardons for offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment. However, it does not explicitly state whether pardons can be issued preemptively before any charges have been filed. This legal gray area has sparked debate about the limits of presidential power and the potential for abuse. Critics argued that Biden's actions set a dangerous precedent, allowing future presidents to use pardons to shield themselves and their allies from accountability. They worried that this could lead to a culture of impunity where those in power are above the law. Section 5, Echoes of History, Presidential Clemency and its Discontents. While Biden's pardons were extraordinary in their scope, they were not without historical precedent. Presidents have long used their pardon power to offer clemency to political allies and controversial figures. Perhaps the most infamous example is President Gerald Ford's pardon of his predecessor Richard Nixon for any crimes he may have committed in connection with the Watergate scandal. Ford's pardon of Nixon was highly controversial, with many Americans believing that Nixon had escaped justice. However, Ford argued that the pardon was necessary to heal the nation and move on from the Watergate scandal. Biden's pardons, like Ford's, raise questions about the role of presidential clemency in a democracy. While the pardon power is an important tool for mercy and justice, it can also be abused for political gain.